Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing really well. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning, and it is always fun. I am so excited to have my good friend Robbyn here with us today on Listing Specialist. And just so everybody knows how these things go when we set up for these things, it is quite interesting. Robbyn called me like 11:03 and was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "Robbyn, it doesn't start till 11:30." So and she was like, "Oh, it's okay." But it is always fun. It is always fun to be able to spend time with Robbyn. You know how much I love you. I'm going to have you unmute for just a second, Robbyn, so that we get to hear you here when you start talking. But I want to welcome everybody to this, and especially you, Robbyn. Thank you for giving your time today and just being here with us. So tell us a little bit about you, Robbyn. I feel like you and I,
that'll be an indicator right there, the early bird. So that's
you
the
are the
beginning
early
of our
bird.
listing specialist. The early bird gets the worms. That's why I was named Robbyn. So there you go. There you
Is
go.
it really?
No.
No, okay, all right. So it's so funny. And here's the thing, so that people know, right? Is I work with Robbyn on her team. I help coach her team, and so I talk with Robbyn on a weekly basis. And it was one of those things that I'm like, Robbyn, you are so good, and I think so highly of you. Um, and it's like I want you to be able to share your experience and everything else with people today. So here's the way that this is going to work for those of you that are attending right now is Robbyn and I are just going to have a discussion. I'm going to be asking her some questions, and then you have the opportunity to just type in the question and answer section on your screen. If we're talking about something and you have a question, type it in there. We'll ask Robbyn that question as well, and then we're going to leave some time at the end to ask questions and answers if there's anything that we didn't hit that you wanted us to hit. So we're going to just start kind of delving into this a little bit, Robbyn. So first of all, why don't you tell us, besides the fact that you are an early bird, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well,
I know you love this part because you don't like talking about yourself, but I'm going to make you anyways.
I'm a short 5'3" white chick with no special accents. How's that?
Okay, well, there you go. That is true. So you have an amazing husband. You have two fabulous boys, right? How long have you been in the business, though?
Well, over 20 years,
Over 20 years,
but I'm
right?
not old. So that's
You're
good.
no, you're not old. We're close to the same age. So and it's okay. And I'm 48, and it's like, but we are. So no, you are not old because that's not the way that we think, right? But you've been in this business for most of your life,
I have.
yeah. So being in the business, and you and I were talking a little bit about this the other day. What have you seen as the biggest change in the industry since you started your career until now?
Oh my gosh, the technology is phenomenal. When I got in the industry, I had this little corny, computer that was the coolest thing, and nobody had computers. So, for the industry to have come such a long way, and I got into it, after, when we had the DOS space program. So it was after, just right after the book went away. So the
Well,
book.
when you say the book, now some people on here may not know what the book is. We're not talking about the Bible here, right? But the book that we're talking
Got a book.
about is, yeah, what was the real estate book? Tell us a little bit about that.
No, they sent monthly, what the MLS sent out a list of all the listings, to all the brokerages once a month. And that's what you had to work off of.
Yeah, so instead of this great program that we have on the Northwest MLS nowadays, right, where we get to look up the homes and we see them instantaneously, literally just minutes after they go on, right? You had to wait until they dropped a book off at your office, right? And you came just after this, but they dropped a book off at your office, and that's how you knew what homes were on the market.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you started, they had the DOS program with technology, and
Yep.
you and I had talked
White
about it a little
screen.
bit. What's that?
It was a blue and white screen. Then they got colored pictures. That was
It was like,
exciting. And then of course we had the fax machine, and you couldn't fax it more than 3 times. And it was just like, I did a lot of presenting of offers. It was fun. And so, yeah, it was prehistoric times. So, I have my, club, and, my people love
whatever.
it, right?
Whatever. So, well, knowing that, right, technology being the biggest difference in everything you've done, how does your business look today? I mean, how is it? I mean, is your business balanced between buyers and sellers, or do you favor one over the other?
Well, I think that that's the brilliance of the KPA. Part of the really doing well in real estate is understanding your client. And so the brilliance of the KPA identifies what we're good at and what we're not good at, which I love to fall back on a regular basis because I am not good at this. And so we all know that now. But the KPA really identifies it nicely. And my selling feature is being a listing agent. And so going in and, we got about a 90% turnover. So that's, because everything is tracked. Having an assistant, having the support, really knowing what you don't do good at. And that is, I'll be the first to admit that, I'm not good at it. I'm pretty savvy and tenacious. But you just can't do it all on your own. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of agents, they're kind of worried because it's not consistent. And I think that the challenge with our industry is that you can do really well as a solo agent. You make more money than a lot of doctors make, which is phenomenal. And so because of that, we don't realize, really what those next step means. But when you're staying up, till midnight trying to get things done or getting things filed or input into this, and you're not accomplishing what you need to do, you have to weigh, what is, your best, what is the best life that you can have. And so I still struggle with that. Bill knows that. And so Bill holds me accountable, and that's really what I need. I need somebody to say, so that's really good. And I appreciate that, but I asked for it, and I appreciate that. And I'm paying for it, right?
So it's all good. And so you have a team now, right? And so tell us a little bit about your team. I mean, how many people do you have on your team?
How many we've got now, Bill? 6?
Well, so you got 6 people on your team. So you got an admin, you've got 3 buyers agents, right? That are out there showing for the buyers. You're the listing specialist. You've got I'm gonna say maintenance guy, but yeah, he's sitting over there. So, but I mean,
Superman.
David, you're.
Superman. Yeah, it's appropriate for today.
So yes, well, Dave, no, you got me, the coach, but you got David, who's also there, right? Who is your sign guy, takes care of a lot of the stuff for you. That aspect.
My books. I got fired from that. By the way, take that off your plate because it'll just go crazy. Oh my gosh.
What will just go crazy?
Trying to track all of that. I think part of the reason that I was so when I met Pam Ranch in the beginning, and so when she taught her disc profile, I was so fascinated. I've always been fascinated by this personality issue, and I call it an issue because my personality is a little too high in all levels, and so I'm like a conundrum. And so due to that, it's like I just have way too much personality. So part of that is it's easy to squirrel, really easy to squirrel. So, if you're worried about your numbers, then you start focusing on that when you really need to be focused on the business. And so I've just got to the point where I've just kind of gone, ugh. So let's put that, let's just keep moving forward. Let's go.
Yeah. So the team was really the best thing for you because you got to disperse really that 80% of the stuff that you did, right? That took you away from the 20%, which was lead generating and developing that business. So you developed a team and they're doing the 80, or they're working to do the 80% that you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
My problem is still giving up that 80%. So that still is my problem. You're working with me. So I'm about 80% getting to the 80%, right?
There you go. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you are the rainmaker of your team. You are the listing specialist on your team. Robbyn, how do you go about getting your sellers?
Well, I do a lot of advertising. I advertise on the radio. I also am a Dave Ramsey ELP, which is beyond an honor. I get referrals from top agent referrals, my sphere, and then I get BECU. So being through that, so I've had a very good influx of leads for years, and so my challenge is I have not worked on my sphere good enough. And because I already sold them a home. They're in there, and so, being in the industry, but, now a lot of our buyers are wanting to sell, and kind of that's happening. So
Yeah. So
it all comes around.
it all comes around. Well, it's all a cycle, right? And so you have different sources where you're pulling your sellers from. But you and I have talked about it recently, really and truly. How many calls are you making a day to your database?
I have a goal, a minimum of, I would say, well, I would say about 10. That's my minimum goal. And so if I don't reach that, then I have to double up. You have to set that time aside. It's easy to get lost in a day. It's easy to get busy doing things. Time blocking is your friend, even though you want to fight it. And it's just, time goes by really quickly. And so just to get on that schedule and follow the calendar. And
Okay.
Laura, my assistant, is probably, the greatest gift from God. And so for me, just really making me do that. And so I've always been pretty lucky, but you can't go on luck forever.
Right. Right. Well, you got to be purposeful and intentional about stuff,
Very
right? So,
purposeful.
yeah. So, for what have you done over this last year, right? Over the last 12 months, especially 2020 is so different compared to every other year, that we've experienced. Not the lack of inventory or anything like that, because we've had years in the past where we've had a lack of inventory. But what is something that you've done different this year when you're not able to maybe do the door knocking or the visits that you like to normally do? What's something that you've done this year to get the listings that you've received?
Well, I think Zoom plays a lot into that. So, just having the technology and the accessibility, and just giving people the comfort of their own home. I have, looked at a few houses via Zoom before, they're ready for me to come out. So,
Yeah.
Part of I think what amazes me is because, a lot of people, you could list your home and, breathe on it, and then it sells in 30 seconds. So what amazes me, I have, a seller. I've kind of changed a lot of my format. And so part of it is really being very descriptive now with, the push here to sign the buyer agency agreement, and using that change for our sellers, and really talking to them and telling, here's an opportunity that you have. The difference in the market before is that agents had to show your home no matter what it was listed. Now agents don't have to. And I think telling it more that way, that agents don't have to, not only are sellers stepping up to the plate, they're up in the ante. And so,
So go into more detail about that. I know what you're talking about because you and I talk a lot, but I know what you're talking about. But when you're talking about going, okay, working with a seller, so sellers don't have to pay the buyer's commission anymore. That was a law, or put into place, not a law, but it was put into place back in 2019. I can't remember if it was October or July, but
October,
October, that it went in 2019.
due to a
But
class
sellers,
action lawsuit on the industry.
right. So when you talk with your sellers then, and they're like, hey, Robbyn, Redfin's willing to do it for 1.5%. And, this other agents, they're ready to discount their commission and stuff like that. How do you go in then? You're talking, because maybe they don't want to pay the buyer side commission. But what you're telling us here is one of the ways to win is to simply tell them, hey, if we don't offer them commission, then what?
They may not show it. They aren't obligated to show it. And so that's kind of, it's more, it costs money to advertise. And
Okay.
so what kind of position do you as a seller want to be in? Do you want them fighting for you, fighting and getting multiple offers? Do you want agents fighting for it? Or, is it the difference of maybe just selling it? So here we talk about strategies, we talk about positioning, we talk about our demographics. We need to know what is our customer. So I'm very detailed on statistics. I love InfoSparks. I would highly encourage all of you to go into InfoSparks. The MLS does teach a class. I have a recording of it, and I think it's just really a brilliant way to really understand your market, but then also go into the neighborhoods, go into your demographics. know who your buyer is, knowing that, and then knowing about the different markets. So our boomers right now have money, but our millennial buyer is the biggest incoming market. Understanding that buyer, studying that buyer. What is that buyer? How do you position, do you just want to buy a house? Well, no, it's not how you do that. It's how are you, this home is a great home to add to your portfolio and could be a fantastic future rental. So this will add to your portfolio. This is how we talk to our millennial buyer.
Well,
So
when you're talking to the buyers that way, what advantage do you have when you are getting the listing? What are you telling your sellers then of what I'm hearing you say is that you do all the research, all the demographics on the neighborhood, what's going on in the current market, and you're also studying what type of buyers are going to buy a home like that you're going to be the listing agent on. Is that am I hearing that correctly?
mhm.
Okay. So
Probably way overkill, because I've gone to a few of, I love other agents, and I love it. It makes me feel really good, because, there's not really an exact science to this, but using statistics, taking the education, looking at other homes. A lot of people will, use, just as an example, because it's so common, say square footage, and we'll talk about their square footage. Well, if their house is a rambler with a basement, it's going to be a different dollar for dollar square foot than a 2-story home. And people say, well, why is that? Well, it has to do with what's on that main level. And so an appraiser, that's why the assessor breaks it out differently. And so that's a big deal. And to really understand that differently, and to compare properties. When I talk to people, by the time I get done, they're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Never explained to me that way. Makes so much sense. So as long as I make sense, we're good.
So for you, what I'm hearing you say is education was a huge part for you. I mean, you love education, you love to study, right? And then you're articulating all the things that you've studied and bringing those to your sellers. How do you go about when you're up against other agents, or other companies that are trying to discount, that are trying to do this thing? How do you articulate your value to your seller?
Well, first of all, to answer your first question back a little bit right before is I would tell you guys, master your craft. Master your craft. As far as going in, I used to be so worried about going in with other agents. Now it's like, I don't care. But and now you go up against, especially as an ELP, you're going up against the top people. And it's kind of like, if it's really answering your phone and responding very quickly. If you aren't on it, if it's less than 3 minutes, they've already probably picked their person, and that's a big thing.
Okay. So, and for those that don't know, ELP is Dave Ramsey's program, right? Which you're a Dave Ramsey partner.
An endorsed local provider is what it stands for.
Okay, perfect. So how do you go about then when you're sitting down with that seller? How do you articulate your value and why they should go with you?
Well, part of it is really sitting down and presenting the facts. I always try to find a little sense of humor. Somebody's really kind of, when you walk into a home, it's not about you, it's about the customer. So what can I emphasize that I notice that might be a little bit different? Like, maybe some beautiful landscaping, or how meticulous something is. So when I walk in, I'll commonly say, I just love those roses that you have out front. Is that a Mr. Lincoln rose, or is that double delight, or something like that? Because I do happen to love flowers, so and gardening and stuff. So I'm very detailed on that, and so with that, just kind of diverting to the home, bringing attention to the home, the detail of the painting and the crispness, and anything that is going to make them think, oh, they care about my home, because I do care. I want to emphasize this.
Okay. So you go in then, what I'm hearing you say is that you go in and you talk the client up because you're finding something that's special about what they've created in their home.
Correct.
In building that rapport. Okay. What, more than anything else, right? Robbyn Adelsman and the We Get It Done team. What is your secret sauce, Robbyn?
I think part of it is digging deeper. understanding the market, knowing your facts, and that dig deeper is really to get into what is the seller's hotspot. Is it money? Is it time? Is it needing more time, to maybe move, or, what is that sweet spot of really understanding what your customer needs, knowing your facts. I don't tell all of my quote unquote process to the customer, but we do have a 200-point process. And so part of that, when I go in, I'm going to meet with them, and I do send out a pre-listing packet. I also send out my resume. So I'm usually, if I go up against other ELPs, I'm either the only one or one of two that has a resume. I've had a resume for years, because guess what? I'm applying for a job. And I make that really clear that I'm applying for a job. And so what do I need to do to show you that not only can we do better for you, but we're going to market your home with the best of our abilities. So that is, and to show them and to show them, a certain amount of proof. So I do that up front, because I'm not really there to talk about myself. I'm coming in with use all the leverage that I have, all the experiences, everything that I've done in the real estate industry, which Women's Council was a very big part of it, and serving in leadership and understanding, being part of the Hearst decision and being part of all of this different legislation, and to really help realtors to understand what the new buyer agency, and what does that mean. And, to stand with Justin Haig, as everybody's got ready to kill him, and to really, stand up and say, hey guys, this isn't Justin's fault. This is our non-realtor owned MLS. So, and that's how this kind of started. So
and those, yeah, no, there's you're referencing a lot of things that probably a lot of people don't know about, right? But the Hearst decision had to do with water rights, and Justin Haig is the attorney for Northwest MLS. So just so people can reference that, but you're so experienced in this, you've been in the business for 20 years. If you had one action step for people that were just getting in the industry, I mean, brand new agents, right? Just getting in the industry, what would be the action step that you would say, hey, listen, if I can go back and talk to you, brand new real estate agent Robbyn, 20 years ago, this is what I would say to her. What would be that action step that you would tell young Robbyn at that point?
Well, when I got into the industry, the first thing that I did was take a lot of classes. And so that really benefited me. So by the time I had to renew, I was already done. And so really getting that education, and really educate yourself in understanding personalities. That Keller's KPA is probably one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And if, as you grow, taking career visioning, that's brilliant. It really is brilliant, really. But understanding the disc profile, understanding your customer, understanding how to care for that customer. If you've got an engineer, you better have a lot of facts. If you got somebody that's a direct D driver, you better have your numbers down. And here's the bottom line. It's like, I've sat with people, and agents present them a book this thick, and you can tell they're a driver. And it's like, okay, so I pick it up, I turn it to the bottom, the last page, I look at the bottom line, I say, isn't this what you're interested in? And they say, yes. And so it's kind of like understanding who you're talking to, and really what does this entail? And so being able to articulate that well, and understanding your customer is your most important thing. So study that. Then get yourself a TC, transaction coordinator. If pass away some of that stuff that, having to do that, and then really understanding the technology and diving into it. Command is brilliant, you guys. I'm having the opportunity for command in inputting. Take the time every day. You need to spend 2 or 3 hours and put in your customers, input that data, start setting up action plans, getting those things ready. Because that consistency and persistence and that drive is what's going to help your business. And if you don't have a lot of customers, where do you live? Find a neighborhood, do some research, find houses that are selling between that $300,000 and $400,000 range. That's your bread and butter. I do sell a lot of $1 million plus properties. I can't say that I haven't been blessed, praise Jesus for that. So I get that, and it blows my mind. But nonetheless, your bread and butter is $400,000. I could sell 20 of those houses. I'd rather sell 20 of those houses because I'm doing something, a lot of something, right?
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of something is better than a lot of nothing. So
How do you go about, Robbyn, for those that are listening in or watching the recording? How do you understand when you walk into a house? Are they a D? Are they an I? Are they an S? Are they a C? I mean, this is the disc profile that you're talking about. How do you understand what type of person you're talking to on the other side of that kitchen table?
well, I've had a conversation with them on the phone. I can figure it out in about 5 minutes.
Okay,
So
but how do you do that? How do
well,
you do that?
well, with my conversation and just really pretty much asking them, understanding their needs. What are they looking for?
Okay.
Most of the time people are fairly guarded at first, and you're not, but by the time that I get done, not only we're on the same team, we're here to work together, and I'm the guard at the gate, and I'm here to battle for you. So, that's part of this. And so
Perfect.
how do we work together? And because after about 4 months I'll grow on you like a wart, so you don't want to keep me around too long.
It's all good. It's all good. So, well, Robbyn, I want to thank you for your time, right? Really and truly, because it means a lot to me that you agreed to do this. I want to open it up to those that are on the call right now. To see if they have any questions of anything that we've talked about. Is there any question that you that are watching wish I had asked Robbyn that I didn't ask? So just take some time right there, ask those questions. Robbyn, I'll end with this. What should we be doing? Tell me right now, what should I be doing to attract more sellers?
Well, if you're not getting enough sellers and you need to find, like I said, that sweet spot, that 300 to 400,000, find a neighborhood and start farming. You may not necessarily be able to knock on doors, but you can set up, websites. You can set up, start setting up, information, become the specialist in your area. So, understanding the needs, getting on the social heartbeat of the neighborhood. You got to stay up with the technology. People will come to you if they see your name, and if they see it constantly. It's that name recognition, it's the consistency, and really just keeping your reputation good and doing all you can to be as ethical as possible and righteous for your customer.
Perfect. Well, perfect. Well, Robbyn, listen, it doesn't look like we have any questions right now, but I just want to say to you, thank you from the bottom of my heart being part of this. I know.
Them, right?
What's
Superman?
that?
I answered them all, right, Superman?
Hey, listen, this is Keller Williams Puget Sound. I mean, we are in the month of August. It's all about the superpower listings. So on Fridays, you're going to see our staff wearing our super shirts, whatever they are. So you can call me Superman all you want. I love that. So anyways, but hey, from me to everyone that came, thank you for just taking some time to be with us today. We've taken up 28 of your minutes, and I just thank you very much for being a part of this. Love everybody that's out there. Have a wonderful day, Robbyn. Thank you for taking your time to share your secret sauce. And you had, if I heard this correctly, you had a 200-point touch thing that you do with clients?
I have a pre-listing packet that always goes out, and it has a question and answer sheet. So I tell them that I will be collecting this from you when I come. So they have to read it. So it's something for them to fill out. And guess what? It's on KW. It's there. It's all there. And then I'll bring my first part of my process of the 200 points with me. So.
Okay. So if somebody ever has additional questions for you, how do they get a hold of you? By phone. Okay. So
see how many messages I have right now, and I haven't answered. There you go. That's bad.
So, okay. So you can call Robbyn anytime or text Robbyn, right? You feel free to reach out and text me. But hey, guys, love ya. Have a wonderful day, everybody. If you need to know how to get a hold of Robbyn, just simply call the front desk at Mountains of Sound or here at Puget Sound. We'll show you how to get in touch with Robbyn. So, Robbyn, I love you. You guys have a wonderful day. Tell David I said hello, okay? All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for all you do, Bill.
Thank you, Robbyn. Bye-bye.